We haven't seen the Cowboys operate at a high level in more than a quarter of a century. It's now 26 years since they made it to the NFC Championship game, but there's always plenty of hype. One of the focal points of the hype this offseason, second-year receiver CeeDee Lamb. On Thursday, Coach Mike McCarthy and Lamb talked about the leap that they expect from the first-round pick in 2021. Here they are.
I think, CD is an excellent example of what you're looking for in your second-year players. I've always felt with a full off-season program, the age, the second-year player benefits the most. I've always felt when you're able to have the full 9 weeks, and I've always referred to it as the second-year jump.
I feel like the jump is definitely there. It's all in the future whether to gauge it. I'm excited about the future. Can't wait till the season, but definitely OTAs has been a big plus for me, in my opinion.
I see your bracelet. What are we getting the popcorn ready for on the deal?
You saw it today.
Okay.
Anything else?
What is the bracelet?
Get your popcorn ready.
Oh, get your popcorn ready. Hey, you got to send T.O. a few bucks if you use his catchphrase, CD. Get your popcorn ready. We haven't heard that in a while from an NFL receiver, but no reason to think this guy's not going to continue to develop. They have a great core of receivers there in Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, and CeeDee Lamb. Tony Pollard getting some reps at receiver so they can get their best guys on the field because he's stuck behind Ezekiel Elliott, and he's shown he can play at a high level. Cowboys offense, a lot of stuff to be excited about, Peter. It's the defense that is going to keep people up at night, and it's going to result in some high-scoring Arena Football League games for that team this year, I believe.
Look, we all know, Mike, that last year the reason that the Cowboys crashed and burned early is that their defense did not take on, did not basically take the defense that Mike Nolan was coaching virtually and adopt it as their own. And they were awful early in the season and at many points during the season. And that's why, to me, the most valuable person inside the Dallas Cowboys this year is Dan Quinn. Because last year, they failed to take a new defense, learn it, assimilate it, and become really good in that scheme. So now Dan Quinn comes in, kind of the uber-aggressive Dan Quinn, brings a couple of his guys from Atlanta to show the way. But this is a team that training camp is going to be absolutely vital to. And, their mini camp stuff that they're doing right now. You saw yesterday, I think it was yesterday in practice, that Leighton Vander Esch is flying all around the place, and all these guys are going crazy during mini camp. And I think the reason is very, very simple. They realize that they blew it last year. They absolutely, totally blew it last year for what would have been a good enough offensive team, even with Andy Dalton. So Mike McCarthy and Dan Quinn are laying down the law and saying that's got to change.
The question is, if Dak Prescott's healthy all year long, will it matter how good or bad the defense is? Because with Dak, and he was on pace to have a ridiculous amount of passing yards. I mean, it would have been a record. Now, it was through 4 games. He got injured in week 5, I believe. But if Dak's healthy, just go out and ring up the points and dare the other side to match it or beat it. I just wonder, the big talking point that we missed last year, we all missed it, was that they're bringing in Mike Nolan. They're using a different defense with guys who are suited to the last defense. Now, are there enough guys from the defense they were using before Mike Nolan to go back to that Seattle type of a defense and still make it work? What does last year's experience do by way of expunging some of the players who were able to run the pass defense, and you have to unlearn and relearn? I think that's part of this challenge. And as you say, in training camp, that's where they're going to get these guys reprogrammed to do what needs to be done under Dan Quinn. And Peter, look, Dan Quinn's never been the defensive coordinator of an offensive team. He was the defensive coordinator of a defensive team where Pete Carroll was basically in charge, and then he took over as the head coach of the Falcons. This is kind of a new thing for him, where, you know, some of these offensive coaches basically hand the keys to the defense, and it's all yours. Maybe he'll thrive. Maybe this is exactly what he needs. But this is new for him. He has not done this, where he's been that guy who basically runs the defense while the offensive head coach is worrying about that side of the ball.
I think the big thing here, Mike, is whether he can take, like, I think a really important player on his defense is going to be Keanu Neal. Because when you look at the way Keanu Neal plays, okay, he is a guy who is a classic big safety to play down in the box and to impact the game both in the run game and the pass game. I think he's a terrific player, a terrific add for the Dallas Cowboys. The question is, how do they move him into the lineup? Is he going to take some snaps away from Jalen Smith, let's say? Those are the kind of things that are to be determined. But I think the one other thing, Mike, you talk about, you sound like you almost take for granted that Dak Prescott is going to come back. This offense is going to be great. I think that's likely.
I do.
But here's what I'm worried about. Here's what I'm worried about on offense. I'm worried about an offensive line that 3 years ago, was far and away the best in the league. And right now, I don't know how healthy that offensive line can stay. With Smith and Collins at the bookend tackles, they've both had injury issues. Can Zach Martin stay healthy the whole year? Will they be able to get good enough play from a rising player, but we don't know that much about him yet, in Connor Williams? This used to be, a granite wall up front. And now we don't know exactly what it is. And so we'll see what that is and how well they play. But, Mike, one of the things about the great offensive line they had is it allowed Ezekiel Elliott to get 4.6, 4.8 yards a carry in many games. And last year that one really suffered.
Well, and one of the things that Sims noticed after Elliott held out in 2019, and I think it was still there last year, when Elliott breaks into the open, he's not able to gain as many yards in the clear as he has in the past, and that's part of it too. So when they pop a hole for you, it doesn't become a 50-yard run, it's a 20-yard run. So I think that's another factor, and that favors getting Tony Pollard more involved. And the way they did the Ezekiel Elliott contract, they're stuck, frankly, for the next couple of years, and all they can do is hope that he can regain his past form. But I'll concede the point that having an offensive line that isn't as good as it was a few years back is a factor. And it caused some to wonder what they were going to do with that first-round pick. They moved from 10 down to 12. They still could have gotten Rashawn Slater before the Chargers took him at 13, the tackle from Northwestern. They opted for Micah Parsons instead to shore up that defense. But it wasn't a ludicrous thought that they may go offensive line, because that's how they built their offensive line, with first-round picks. And at some point, they're going to have to rebuild that offensive line, not with just whoever they can find, but they got to start reinvesting first-round picks in round one, or first-round picks in the offensive line, in order to make that offensive line what it needs to be.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.